So this panel Ollie pretty much finished last week, and as you can see here, come over here Ollie. As you can see here, everything lines up bloody beautifully. But we've had, and I've got to admit, I got a bit pissed off with this and started smashing it about last week because we've put in a bucket load of work on this. We plated up all the inside here. As you can see, we did a really good job on that. Plated all that up, and then we went to fit this, or just to see how it all was, and it was totally wrong. So come over here, check this out. See here, we are totally completely out of shape there. So yeah, got pretty peeved off and started smashing around on it, and probably shouldn't have, but so I've done all this plating up here, plated all this together, plated all around the back together, strengthened it all up, and really it's just basically a practice panel. So I'm going to basically just be turfing this panel. It's not going to be used. I'm going to have to try and find another panel because I've done such a shit job on trying to repair it. And well, you know, it was good practice, but yeah, I've really smashed this panel to pieces. It's a waste of time now. So we'll look for a new one. Anyone out there with a Type 3 right hand front panel, has to obviously have the fuel flap for it. Yeah, get in touch, send us a comment.
You have to sand this back.
See, like that up there? So we want it like that. Yeah. Doesn't have to go back here to bare metal, just like that. Okay? See how that's got bog in it?
Yeah.
So that's paint, 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 bog, paint, paint.
Why did it put bog in there?
Just makes it all look nice. So this is the passenger side rear quarter panel. Looks pretty good. It's pretty straight. I'm going to clean up these holes here, but when you get really close and you're not going to be able to see this, the thickness of that hole is way too thick, which means I reckon she's got a fair bit of bog in it just here. So what do I do? What do I do? Do I cut that all back and then re-bog it? Or do I just skim across the top, maybe bog those holes? So I'll have to take these off and just see how grossly bad it is. All this top stuff here I'm going to obviously grind back before this rust gets any worse. And everything else is pretty good. So what we've discovered with this panel is it has had a previous plate put in there. From what I can see here, you know how we're talking about bog here, it looks like a fair decent crease along here, and all they've done is just obviously put bog straight across there. Here, for some reason, I don't know, it seems all pretty fine. Then we've got here, we've got quite a few holes of rust here. So what I might do, just to do something different, is I'm going to try this technique and just put a great big patch, maybe a patch over this, just weld a patch in over this, just weld it in, see if that works. I'm not sure. Now we've also come down here to the front of the car, and I don't know if you can see that, but there's been a bog master at work here. We're talking probably, I don't know, half a centimetre of bog all through there. It's quite difficult to see, but I cut those lines in there to try and show you how deep they are. There'd be at least half a centimetre of bog in there, and it's quite perplexing actually, because you look at the back here, that's quite an easy spot to bang out with a hammer. So I'm not sure why they've used so much bog in there, but that is extreme bog. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to I'm just going to grind all of that bog out of there and have a damn good crack at panel beating that, because that's a pretty easy place to panel beat, I would have thought anyway. Yeah, you should see that bog. It's crazy. So I've taken this all back now to bare metal, and when I run across it, you can't really see much now because it's all bare metal, but you know, there's a couple of highs, a couple of lows. It just doesn't feel like it warranted inches and inches of bog on there before. So I'm gonna have a shot now at banging this out.
people.
I'm actually not too bad at this. It's a remarkable difference. Right, so what I've done here is all along the front here, there was like this much bog all the way along there, and I've ground it all off, and then I've noticed that it was fairly ripply along there, so obviously somebody has, you know, given it a bit of a knock or whatever, and now I just used a couple of panel beating tools. So I use this panel beating tool. I tried to use this but didn't really need to. This hammer. And this amazing little structure here. So the main two things that I used was the hammer and this particular dolly. And what I was able to do was to use this dolly here, you know, along all different angles, along all different ways, and hammer in from the back here, you know, and also hammer from the front with the dolly in the back as well. And where I couldn't get into with the hammer, I actually used this as a hammer, and that seemed to work pretty well too. So what I managed to do was to get all the high spots back to feeling pretty normal, and then get all the low spots back to a really even, and just work my way along until I was able to take all those dents out. And it was actually surprisingly quite easy. I don't know if it's easy for everybody, but it was surprisingly easy to be able to get that all into alignment. I don't know if I'm doing it right. I don't know if I'm supposed to be measuring anything or whatever, but I don't really care. It's a 50-year-old car that is just going to be driven. So, you know, keep persisting. Somebody told me, look, you know, if it's a bit tinny like that, you can heat it up or something, but I don't know what I'm doing yet, so keep going. Should be good. So what I've found down here as well is just behind there, which is on the other side's where the bumper bar actually holds on. I reckon that's a bit rusty in there. So I'm going to pull this bottle out here, which is, I think it's my wiper washers, give that a bit of a grind back, and I might have to do a plate there as well. So I managed to cut back all of this guard, which is all along the top here. It showed a fair bit of surface rust through the paint. So I brought all that back to bare metal there just to have a quick look. Obviously this is the one where there's a fair bit of bog all through here. If you look from the other side there. You can actually see this. Looks like someone's just grinded along the side of the car, and then they've thought, oh, bugger it, we'll just bog it up. This section here I've ground all back. So this section here I'm going to try doing this plate thing. So I'm going to plate it on the inside and then fill it on the outside. So I've ground down both the outside and the inside to do that. Apart from that, these holes, I'm going to do a few of them up. I'm going to leave this existing patch, leave it there. I'm not going to touch it. Can't see it on the other side, so all good. So I couldn't help myself. Had to get stuck into this panel and show you what I found. We saw the dent from the other side. We've got a crazy hole here. Now just hang on a tick there. Look how deep that sits in there. We're talking a fair depth of bog. Just going all the way through there. It's not easy to see, but that's all we can do. See if I can get this camera cranking a bit better. No, doesn't want to do anything better. Anyway. Yeah, there we go. See how deep that bog is now. Absolutely insane. So yeah, just simply could not help myself. Had to go and see what we could do to dig it all out. So now I'm just gonna get rid of all of that bog, take it back to bare metal, and once I've taken that back to bare metal, I'm gonna try and get that big dent out, make this panel all crisp and nice, and finish her off. Alright, so this is the extent of bog so far. on this panel. Come on, you stupid autofocus. Bloody work. Alright, here we go. Bog. Massive amounts of bog there. It's so thick there here. Amazing. That's probably at least, I don't know, have to be a centimetre. So yeah, very, very thick bog. As we know, when we looked on the other side, you can see that there is a full dent all the way along here, and all they've done is just put bog straight over the top of it. Looks like they've done a hefty few layers as well. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 layers of bog, just one after another, just laid over the top of it. So yeah, I wanted to just show you that before I grind it back to bare metal. So, world's worst dent, back to bare metal now. You might have seen before in that video, that was crazy. There was, I don't know, there's just something so satisfying about grinding back bog. As soon as I saw it, or as soon as I ever see it, all I want to do is grind it back, see what's underneath, see if we can fix it. So, this is one, you know, probably 2-3 foot long dent that goes all the way up this panel, which is all they've done is literally just filled it up with bog. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and use my nose skill at panel beating and try and get it out with those dollies and those hammers. So here we go. So on here I can literally see where that's been smashed in, and you can feel it really easily with your hand. It sort of starts all the way from here and it goes all the way to here. So it's good, you know, 3-4 foot, and all I'm doing is I've got this dolly here and I'm just going to bang it with a hammer all the way along with this behind it, see if that works. In the meantime, I'm listening to some Helmet in the meantime. another smaller hammer. I've got this hammer as well, but it's got a bit of round on it. That might come in useful for something else. See how it's sort of round? It's convex. So probably can't use that for this because I'm trying to make it flat. I think I've got another hammer though. Tell you what, that's coming out nicely. This is the most enjoyable part of the job so far, just banging with these things. It's lovely. Oh, beautiful. awesome. So you know you're doing it right, because when you're banging, when you're first banging, you can just feel the tin. There's a gap between the dolly and the tin, and it makes this real dull sound. But then as soon as you're starting to get the metal all flat, hear that? It's as if you're just hitting the dolly. You can see the dolly flexing when I hit it. Whereas before it was like this. Now it's like this. So that's how it sort of seems to be working. Just under that there is a bit low. So this now, when you run your hand over it, you can just feel tiny little ripples, as if, you know, tiniest little divots from where the hammers hit, and that's about it. So I've sort of worked out that the dolly is for flattening everything out, but you can actually just use your hand as the dolly if you need to, like, push the metal out a little bit. Doesn't seem to hurt it at all. I was really worried about doing it without having the dolly in front of it, but you know, just soft little taps all the way along, hand on this side, just seems to be able to get that out and get it into shape just that little bit better. So definitely worth playing around with all sorts of different whatever ideas come into your head. Just give it a go. It's only metal. I mean, it's going to be able to go sort of half back into place anyway. So now what I should be able to do is fill this with a small bit of bog, just to get rid of all of those lines and divots and all that type of stuff. And then you should be able to see when I rub it all back, that it's, you know, there's no big deep hole anymore like there was before. Because I mean, from here all the way to here was just a big deep hole. So the old man's just come up and told me it's time to stop. It's like 9:30, I think, at night time. So what I'm going to do now is I've got a heap of exposed metal. Got exposed metal here, got exposed metal here. All I'm going to do is grab my rust converter. So I've got this bottle of rust converter. I'm going to paint the rust converter over all of that. I don't know if you're supposed to do that, but it makes sense to me, so see how we go. So I've been working on this back panel. It's the back passenger side panel. Had a massive dent. You can see it here on the back where that massive dent was, and just went to work on panel beating all that out, and it came out really well. Next up, we've got these holes of rust here. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing the same as this. So it looks like someone's put a plate of steel behind it and then filled it up with bog. So what I've done is I've put all this rust converter on here, which is supposed to stop the rust ever coming back apparently. And I'm going to weld a plate in there and then put bog over the front. So I've put rust converter all on the front there as well. So hopefully that's enough to stop any rust from coming back. Where the panel came off, there's a bit of rust down the bottom here as well. So I'm going to be having a good look at all that and seeing what I'm going to do. It's not too bad. It's all right. It's not really that structural or anything from what I can see. This is going to be my darkest moment, I think. This one right here, because it's on the outside. Whereas all this stuff here in the C-pillar, you know, I can just put plate over the top of that really easily. Welding it in is going to be a mission, but you know, at least I can put it over the top and it's not, you know, and then I can cover that up with something. But yeah, this one here on the outside, she's going to be a mission. You know, what am I going to do? Bloody hell. Especially with my welding skills. So that's all the holes. These are the trim holes. Welded them all up. And I'll grind them back now. And then keep going. So here's how they look after you've done the welding on them. So we can get that in focus for you. Come up pretty good. See, they sit a bit lower. They look terrible when you've actually, you know, still got the weld on it, but after you've ground it back, they come up really good. Alrighty, so here's my holes, and this is the plate I'm going to be putting over the top of it. So I'm just going to cut that all out now and then I'm going to weld it in. So my plate's all cut there now. All I'm going to do is try and weld that in. See how we go.